So myself, Safal Sharma, I work as a technology platform. I mostly specialized in power integrated thermal and RF simulation. To start with, CATFAM Group. So CATFAM is the pioneering company in this kind of FEM and other simulations. So we are
Hi, Safal. Sorry to interrupt. Your voice is breaking in the middle.
okay. How about now? Hello.
And now it's perfect. Yes.
Yeah. So we are more than 21 companies. Okay, I'm throughout the globe, and we have more than 500 plus employees. We are our presence, our presence. You can see our presence in 17 countries. Headquarter is in Munich, Germany. Okay, and in terms of expertise, so we have expertise in all the physics. So starting from fluid, structural, electromagnetic, mission critical embedded software and optical, even material information, and we have now platform integration also. So, Prasan, can you confirm if my audio is louder? I mean, it is clear or not?
Yes, yes. Your audio is perfect. I can hear yours
Yeah,
perfect.
yeah, yeah. So I can see my audio. Somebody is asking to increase my voice. So maybe what you can do now, if you are if my voice is feeble to you, yeah. And in terms of customers, so we have 3,000 plus satisfied customers. We have 250 plus NCC specialists in all these their physics. And in terms of customer satisfaction, we have 98% customer satisfaction. And we have ISO certified company. I said we have 35 plus years of expertise in their uh, industry. The LNC. So to start with, I mean,
Yeah, hello, Safal.
hi Aslam.
Safal, your voice is night breaking for me as well. Can you
Prasan,
check?
can you confirm? Prasan, can you
Now it is
confirm if?
coming, but while you're presenting in between, it is.
So sorry for inconvenience. So I mean, so this webinar mostly we are focusing on PCBs and electronics component. Okay. So to start with, PCB is actually a mechanical structure. Okay, where all the electronic components are placed and electrically routed. So when I tell electrically routed, those routings are done with the help of mostly copper traces. Okay, so PCB is both mechanical as well as electrical
Sorry,
component.
Safal. Hello.
Yeah, hello.
Your screen is not visible. For some reason, it went off.
Okay, let me share once again.
Yeah. Yes. Now we can see.
Yeah, so printed circuit board are used in almost all electronic products. Okay, nowadays if you see automotive car or aerospace and defense kind of application, consumer electronics like mobile phone and all, healthcare, oil and gas. So almost every in every industry in every vertical you can see printed circuit boards. So that's why being a PCB engineer doesn't matter whether a electrical PCB engineer or mechanical PCB engineer, we have to make PCBs reliable. Okay, now whenever I tell making PCBs reliable, then it is not only confined to one physics, but making PCB reliable means it has to be reliable electrically, it has to be reliable mechanically, and it has to be reliable thermally, because PCBs complexity are increasing day by day. So day by day PCBs are becoming more and more complex. More electronics components are embedded into PCB. More complex kind of material are being assigned to a PCB. You will find more PCB bodies, more solder bodies, more chip, more semiconductor, more capacitors, more inductors, more number of layers, more number of different complex routing schemes nowadays. with different bias configuration. So overall PCBs are becoming more and more complex. That's why it has to be reliable. And whenever I tell about reliable, then reliable means it has to be reliable electrically, thermally, and mechanically. So mostly in my presentation, I would be focusing on the electrical reliability of a PCB. My colleague Aslam would be talking more on the thermal mechanical reliability part. So in terms of signal integrity and power integrity, so in earlier days the clock frequency was very low. So above 100 megahertz we call it high speed era. So whenever clock frequency is increasing, whenever clock frequency becomes high, that time the signal would be attenuated. So in the PCB traces, copper traces and all, whenever signal flows, the signal would be reflected, signal would be distorted. So number of problem comes in a signal. So in order to make sure whatever signal are being transmitted, same signal are being received, then we have to make sure our channel or our traces are electrically reliable. So that's why we do signal integrity simulation to ensure that the signal transmission is proper. Now in a printed circuit board, many active devices are there, right? So when I tell active devices, you'll find MOSFET, BJTs. So those kind of components, whenever they switch between logic 1 to logic 0, or maybe logic 0 to logic 1, then they draw some current or they draw some power from the battery. During that process, some fluctuations would be there, right? We also call it di by dt spikes, or sometimes simply the voltage drop. There will be a voltage drop. So in order to make sure the power delivery is good, we do power integrity simulation. And improper power integrity and signal integrity gives one major electrical reliability problem, which is known as electromagnetic interference problem. So yeah, so electrical reliability is, nothing but electromagnetic interference. Electromagnetic interference is integration of signal integrity and power integrity, meaning improper signal integrity and power integrity gives electrical reliability, which is electromagnetic interference problem. Now, there are different simulations in power integrity and signal integrity. So few simulations in power integrity are checking the impedance noise, checking the noises between power and ground plane, checking the return path discontinuities. And in signal integrity, we also check impedance. We do near end and far end crosstalk, reflections, then some material losses like dielectric losses and all we check. And then finally we do electromagnetic interference simulation. So these are few, simulations or few techniques that ensures the, electrical reliability of a PCB. First one is impedance. So at higher frequency, the return current follows the least impedance path, meaning wherever impedance is less in that particular path, the return current will flow. If impedance is higher, then the return current will keep on searching for the lower impedance path, and the result would be the current loop would be more. So if current loop is more, from an antenna theory also it is simple. If the antenna diameter is more, the field effect would be more. The fringing field would be quite stronger. The electromagnetic field would be very strong. So that's why impedance plays a key role in, having better electrical reliability performance. And some of the fix are you can change the stack up, you can change the plane cutouts, then decoupling capacitors can be used. Hi Prasant, am I audible?
Uh, yes, yes, you are audible, Safal. I don't
So,
think so.
Mr. Yeah, that's what Mr. Suresa is asking me, not audible. Maybe, you can, I mean, maybe Mr. Suresa, you can just check your audio. Sometimes because of the audio connection, you can't be able to listen. So maybe I request you to go to the settings in WebEx. In settings, there is one option known as test audio. So try to test your audio. If you can listen some noise, then it is fine. If you can't listen anything, I request you to reconnect your, headphone jack. Thank you. Yeah, so I mean, so some of the fix for some of the fix for doing like checking electrical reliability is you can change the stack up, you can change the plane cutout, and you can use decoupling capacitors. So this is one example. Okay, so yeah, so I mean, yeah, so this is one presentation, or this is one slide that talks about decoupling capacitor strategy. So left hand side is the old model and right hand side is the new model. As you can see, the routing or mostly the decap placement has been changed. Okay, and the impedance has been plotted for both the designs. Now, after proper decoupling capacitor placement, you can see the impedance of the original layout, which was improper decoupling placement. Impedance is quite high and quite noisy. But with proper, with proper decoupling placement, with proper improvement, the impedance has been improved. Okay, so in this way, in this simple way, you can just improve the impedance profile by simply using stitching or decoupling capacitors. So another simulation technique we call it resonant analysis. So PCB in a simple theory, PCB is nothing but a cavity resonator, right? So there is a power plane and ground plane. So between power plane and ground plane, there will be electromagnetic modes. The electromagnetic energy would flow from one end of the PCB to another end. Now at another end of the PCB, it is a open circuit, right? In open circuit, impedance is infinity. So definitely there will be reflections inside the PCB, and that reflections causes the standing wave or the resonant phenomenon. Okay, and resonant mode analysis is a very good start for doing EMI EMC simulations. So always it is advised to find the resonant mode in your PCB and try to cure it. It is impossible to make resonant zero, but we can control it by using various techniques, like you can use decoupling capacitors, you can change a stack up, you can do plane cutouts. So all those things helps to improve the resonant mode phenomenon. Now, after impedance and resonant analysis, next one is the signal extraction. So signal extraction is mostly the time domain simulation. So it is nothing but the signal integrity simulation, where we would run the transient simulation, and we will be transmitting some bits. So the first step is to extract the PCB, extract the parasitics of a PCB, and then run the transient simulation. So whenever I tell transient simulation, the actual bits has to be designed. So if people, they normally use IBs and SPICE models for this kind of simulations. If you don't have IBs and SPICE models, you can model it. I mean, you just need to know the rise time, fall time, and all, and then you can just model it, and then you can do the signal extraction simulations. So this is just one example. So whenever any signal flows from transmitter to receiver, or rather any channel, the signal will change its characteristics. So meaning the signal will change its x-axis as well as y-axis, meaning signal will change its timings. Whenever signal changes its timings, we call it jitter. In time domain, in frequency domain, it is known as phase noise. Whenever signal it changes its y-axis, we call it noise, simply noise. So this is the animation. Let me just play it. As you can see, whenever signal flows from transmitter to receiver circuit, the signal becomes different, right? So that means signal degrades as they travel along the channel. So this kind of reliability prediction also can be done. And you can just reconstruct high-speed channels. You can have your transmitter, you can have a multiple PCBs, multiple connectors, transmit circuit, receive circuit, and then you can do the simulation. So this is the near field visualization. Just one example. At low frequency, you can see there is no field. At high frequency, as you can see, the impedance is also higher. You are also seeing the electromagnetic fields. And yes, so you can also do a 3D enclosure simulation. So you can just, put PCB inside a 3D enclosure. We call it shielding simulation, and then you can just see predict the, shielding reliability also, how good the shielding is. As you can see, the top one is without enclosure, the electric field is quite high, and down one is with enclosure, the field has been shielded. So this kind of shielding simulation also can be done. Now, as I told in the beginning, so whenever we talk about PCB reliability, it is not only it is not only electrical reliability, but it is multi-domain or multi-physics reliability. Now, there is a phenomenon known as Joule heating. So whenever in any traces, whenever any electrical energy flows in a trace, some energy would be radiated out as an electromagnetic energy. We call it EMI, or rather we also call it antenna theory. Some energy would couple to the adjacent traces. We call it inductive or capacitive coupling. Some energy would be absorbed by the material. We call it loss line. Okay. And some energy would be dissipated out as a thermal energy. We call this process as a Joule heating. So Joule heating is nothing but conversion of electrical energy into thermal energy, and Joule heating will be there. Okay, now if you see from the formula Q equals to I square R, so in a mobile phone also, whenever you play whenever you just use WhatsApp and all, your mobile phone won't be heated up that much. But whenever you start using mobile phone in an high performance manner, if you start playing games, high-end games and all, your mobile will be heated up. This is because of this formula I square R. Because the I square R is constant majorly, the I square or the current drawn from the battery becomes very high if you play games. So that time the released heat is very, very, very high. So that's why the proper thermal management has to be done. That's why PCB has to be reliable electrically as well as thermally. Now in ANSYS platform, we have something known as electrical thermocoupling. So for doing thermal simulation, we need some source. As I said, Joule heating. So according to law of conservation of energy, energy can be created, it can be destroyed. It will change from one form to another form. So the source for thermal energy is the electrical energy. So meaning whatever the electrical losses occur, whatever the power dissipation occur, that acts as a source for thermal. So in our tool, there is something known as electrical thermocoupling. You can just run the electrical as well as thermal simulation in one GUI in one platform. So as you can see, the power map or the electrical losses would be taken to the another CFD solver, which will compute the temperature. Now this temperature will be taken back to the electrical solver, and this electrical solver will again calculate the electrical losses considering the temperature also. Okay, now this second result comes. The second losses would again be taken to CFD. It will again compute the thermal considering the previous electrical and thermal losses. Again new thermal data would be generated. Again it will be taken back to the electrical losses electrical tool, and again it will compute the electrical losses considering the second thermal result also. So it is a iterative process, two or three times you can run it, so that you'll get the electrical losses. As you can see in this slide, you can get the electrical losses as well as you'll get the overall board temperature as well as velocity cut plane. And this is one typical example of temperature display. Okay. And yes, we have a dedicated tool also that focuses on electronic cooling. So sometimes the excessive heat would be generated. You have to do a thermal management. You have to select the heat sinks and all. So starting from a chip die to a IC package to a board assembly to a back plane assembly up to system level, you can do the electronic cooling simulation. And some of the features is the IcePack is a dedicated computational fluid dynamics solver, but it has been customized for electronic applications. So we don't need to have a very good CFD background. Even being an electrical engineer like me, you can do the thermal simulation. Okay, and some of the features are you can do the fluid flow, laminar and turbulent, and there is a conjugate heat transfer and conduction, convection, radiation, and Joule heating all the four kind of simulations can be done. And some of the features are it supports the popular CAD import formats, and it has different macros. It has predefined fan models, heatsink models, and all. You can import EDA also, ECAD files also. You can import. There is an optimization also now. Now it has been integrated to AEDT environment also. So you can just do the optimization and run the simulation. And then, as I said, ANSYS is a multi-physics platform. So electrical losses would give thermal fatigue. Now, thermal losses would give mechanical fatigue. We call it workplace violations or mechanical deformations. So all these electrical losses can be related to the thermal losses. Now, electrical and thermal losses can be related to the mechanical losses or structural deformations also. And so this phenomena we call it boat level warpage. So there is something known as coefficient of thermal expansion. This decides up to what the structure will retain its reliability. So after CTE is overthrown, or after the threshold is met, after the temperature surpasses the CTE value, then the structure becomes deforming in its shape. Okay, so there will be a different CTE values in a PCB, as different materials are there. That's why during the PCB fabrication and all, there are chances that some contacts would be dislocated, some soldered joints would be disconnected, and also that's why warpage, board level warpage also can be simulated. Anyways, Aslam would be talking more on this kind of mechanical simulations. I just want to give a good start for Aslam to take up the presentation now. And another simulation is mechanical reliability. So there is a normal mode, or we also call it normal vibrations or modal analysis. The first mode, second mode, and third mode can be done. It is a simple simulation, normal vibrations. There is something known as random vibrations also. So random vibration is like my body will be having some natural vibrations. The environment also will be having some vibrations. That is random in nature. Like mathematically, we can't actually represent it. But sometimes our natural vibrations can pick up the frequency of the random vibrations. So that method we call it resonant mode. I mean resonant phenomena also we call it. So this kind of phenomena would be there. So these random vibrations and all can be simulated in ANSYS mechanical. So you can give input as a PSD curve. Okay, and then in terms of output, 1 sigma, 2 sigma, up to 3 sigma you can just take. So it is a distribution, Gaussian distribution. You can just check this kind of results. And this is so normally electrical, mechanical, and thermal losses gives rise to the reliability problem, or we also call it the warranty problem, or the mean time to failure. So this kind of live cost prediction also can be done considering these electrical, mechanical, and thermal losses. So Aslam would be talking more about this kind of simulations. Just I'll try to summarize my presentation. So ANSYS is one platform where you can do electrical, thermal, as well as mechanical now, as well as reliability prediction also can be done. Okay. Now, if you have any questions, you can ask me. Okay, you can ask me. I'll hand over this session to Aslam. Okay. And so maybe Aslam, for you there is one question. So what is burn-in temperature of component while calculating MTBF? Okay, so maybe I'll give this question to Aslam. He will be talking more about the failure modes and all. Okay, so over to you, Aslam.
Okay, yeah, thanks. Thanks, Safal, for that.
Yeah. And
Okay.
Aslam, there is one question related to MTBF, mostly Sherlock. So maybe after you end your presentation, you can address that.
Okay. Okay. I
Okay.
will address that also.
Yeah. Over to you, Aslam. Thank you.
Okay, I am just sharing my screen. Just give me a minute. Okay, just 1 minute. Can see my screen.
It is
Yes,
loading,
Aslam,
Aslam.
we can see.
Yeah, it is.
Okay. the presentation view as well, right?
Yes.
Okay. So thanks, Safal, for the brief introduction about the reliability as well in terms of with related to Sherlock. So good. First of all, good morning, good afternoon, all. Um so I am Aslam. Actually, I will give you the brief about the reliability assessment of the PCB structures under the shock and vibration along with the thermal loads as well. So as Safal already explained about the PCB modeling and what are the requirement in terms of the electronic perspective, but in terms of the reliability we should uh, basically we should check the mechanical and the thermal aspects of it as well. So with that I will start my presentation. So first of all, the reliability. As of now, we saw what are the other electronic design process is required for the PCB structures in the Safal's presentation. So whenever you come up with the quality product, but the one term which is always with the printed circuit board or the electronic component is the reliability. That means its ability of the system or the component to perform its required function under stated condition for a specified time. That means like we define certain service life, like my product should be like a 10-year, in that specified time its function it should be do like a 80% or 70% or 90% depending upon the application where we are going to use that system or that component. So that is the reliability. So now like we do have all the all the joule heating losses, thermal vibration, even Shuffle speak in terms of the vibration. So how that everything like stresses and this deformation will help us to get the reliability. So with that we do have some solutions. So before that I just wanted to brief you about the what are the PCB assembly failure modes are there. So basically mechanical failures are primarily because of the thermal and the vibrational issues. You can see the electronic failures. So according to the US Air Force,
Sorry
the
to
most,
interrupt, Aslam.
yes,
Could you
okay.
please go to the presentation mode of the PPT?
I think I'm in a presentation mode only. I think this issue
No.
is because I'm just sharing my application. I'll share complete screen.
Yeah.
I have this issue multiple times. I know. If I share application, screen will not change.
Understood.
Okay. Now
Yeah.
this you able
Now
to
it's
see, right?
perfect.
It was there
Yes.
previously.
Yes. Now it's
Okay.
perfect.
Now the slides are changing. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so according to the US Air Force, the most of the failures which we are seeing out of this, like 55% failures are because of the high temperatures and the temperature cycling. Not only just temperature, but because of the temperature cycling, the fatigue. Because of that, we saw the 55% of the electronic failures and 20% because of the your mechanical vibration and the shocks. So for this, ANSYS provides a full set of tools to model entire PCB assembly efficiently to understand the failures. So for that, what ANSYS has its automated design analysis tool called ANSYS Sherlock, which is the solution for the reliability analysis. So what it will translate the ECAD easily to CAE files, which is a powerful preprocessor. ECAD in terms of any ECAD you can just convert into the CAE files, which it has some powerful preprocessing capabilities. Also, it predicts the product failure, so it has a powerful post processor as well. And for every engineer, they can use to easily because it has very shorter learning curve, very good user interface as a tool wise, and you can do the design for manufacturability. Even you can see the product failure, or you can predict the product failure in terms of component level, board level, or even the system level as well with this PCB along with the enclosures. So what is the Sherlock? So Sherlock is the only uh, physics-based reliability tool which will account the failure because of your physics. That is because of your thermal shock and your vibration. That things it will predict the failure early in the design stage quickly and accurately, and it is focused electronic focused basically used in all industries, electronic industries, which are for automotive or aerospace or any consumer appliance electronics. So here you can easily convert your ECAD file, which is the layout, say like ODB plus or other formats. You can directly convert into the CAE or FEM model. So I will explain much more about these things in my next slides as. So before going to that, we should understand what are the current challenges we are having in terms of the reliability analysis. So like in the previous presentation also, we saw the certain temperature, voltage, what are the current voltage losses because of how much temperature is going to be rise. We saw certain strain bending in the boards. But with respect to that, what information we got temperature, voltage and strain itself. But that doesn't relate with the reliability. So for that purpose, what we have to do, we have to take that stress information and we have to use the reliability physics analysis to get the life curve, which will explain the reliability of the component or the board for the specified time frame. So the reliability physics analysis is engineering product development methodology that applies the knowledge of derived of the physics of the failure. So we actually take the physics of the failure procedure to calculate the life curve. So with that, we do have certain three phases in the to calculate to get the reliability aspect or into the ANSYS Sherlock. Like one is like a data input, as into the phase one where you can easily pass the standard EDA files like schematic, layout, what are the part list, your BOM, everything you can automatically import into the ANSYS Sherlock. Then with respect to certain embedded libraries which we are having, like a part libraries, package libraries, materials, shoulders, and the laminate or for boards as well, we can use that embedded libraries to model or define each and every part correctly, package correctly. Then we can easily build a box for finite element analysis in a minute itself. So all this comes under the first phase where we called it as a input, or I'll say pre-processing. Then what analysis we can perform under this Sherlock? So basically there are different assessment points are there, or with respect to different assessment options, we can do the reliability analysis. So it covers like a thermal cycling, mechanical shock, even natural frequency, that linear dynamic analysis for harmonic and random vibration. Certain non-FEA analysis also can be possible, like your integrated circuit wear out based, that is nothing but your semiconductor wear out, thermal derating, cap simulations you can do, solder fatigue, or this is ICT, which is again a FEA based analysis in circuit testing, where you have a different test points to check the whether that particular load it is going to be sustained or not, what that might be a force or that might be a displacement coming onto your PCB board. And along with the DFME, a design failure mode and effect analysis. And as we do this kind of assessment, we will produce the holistic analysis or for critical or to develop the reliability products. You will get certain outputs in terms of like tabular histograms or life curves for the complete board or even each component onto the board as well. So like if I go one by one in terms of the first phase, like we first required to perform the model preparation. So you have your ECAD like ODB++ file, which includes all your information regarding the layout, component details, different designator for each, what are the parts, manufacturer number, its name, or even you use certain information in terms of its detail detailed description of that particular component. So everything you can directly import as an from that ECAD file to the ANSYS, and you can directly create the MCAD, which will showcase all your board 3D MCAD. And then this is FE mesh, which we can directly create this FEM mesh in a minute into the ANSYS Sherlock. Then once we imported the board, which will having all the layouts and all the part locations with respect to part designators, everything, we do have our embedded populated library of parts, in which what you can do, you can check that manufacturer name, and with respect to that you can update the part libraries according to the part library available in the ANSYS Sherlock. So what will happen, all the material properties which are required to do certain analysis, different analysis, you can directly apply that over there, which is going to be assigned properly. If suppose you do not find anything there, so you can manually also change certain properties into the ANSYS Sherlock, or even you can create your own part library which you can use for further analysis. So that way you have a local, you can create your local and you can use the global part library in the ANSYS Sherlock. So all the part properties, if you can see here, there are different part properties required, like ID, which will give you some different designator and other things, like packages. Like we have a package library as well with respect to surface mount packages or through hole packages. So you can see here, there you can choose multiple packages. Yes,
Aslam. So there is a request. So from audience for you to speak little bit slower.
little bit slower.
Slow. Yeah.
Okay, I'm going fast. That is okay.
Yeah.
Okay, okay. Just I'll go through slowly. Okay,
Thank you.
so basically, in the parts and the package library, you can see different types of packages are there. So you can choose that particular package for that particular component, whether it is a surface mount on or the through hole mount. Even we do have a laminate library, under which with respect to different manufacturers, you can see the laminates and its material property. Basically laminates are in composites which are in orthotopic in the nature, so you will get all the other properties there. So if anything, if you want to add a new laminate, that is also possible, you can add the laminates. Then the materials, you can define all the material properties Sherlock has with respect to the temperature dependent material properties which require to do certain analysis, like Young's modulus, coefficient of thermal expansion, and other properties. Even we do have certain solders types, which kind of solder you are wanted to use to do the solder fatigue analysis. So these are the Sherlock libraries which are very helpful to create, very easily create the create your which will use for pre-processing effectively. Then if I go to the next thing, like once you create your part library properly, package dimensions, everything is taken care, then there the next important thing is about the Sherlock lifecycle condition under which you wanted to test your PCB port. So under this, we can do a we can create multiple shock events. Like if you want to test it under the shock event, you can create a shock event, what kind of shock you wanted to check, whether it's a sawtooth or a half sine, then what is the duration of that shock in the millisecond, and number of cycles you wanted to apply over that testing period. So even these directions also you can specify. So if you want to check different shocks in different directions, you can create your multiple shock events and you can test on all the shock events available, whatever you wanted to create. And then there are harmonic events. Similarly, you can create the harmonic events, all harmonic profiles. You can edit your profile, you can load your existing profile directly into the ANSYS Sherlock with respect to that duration and that cycles, number of cycles you can apply. Then not only just shock and harmonic, but even for random vibration analysis, which Safal showed in one of the slide, where say suppose in the transportation you can see on the board the random vibrations are coming. So that random vibration also you can create the profile and you can apply. So you can create multiple profiles of shock, harmonic, shock and harmonic, even the random as well. So at the same time, if you wanted to check under the thermal loadings, that might be a thermal shock or thermal cyclic, if you want to check, you can create that kind of thermal cycle here, which will be in terms of, say suppose for 100 minutes it's created. So initially for 10 minutes it will be at minus 20, 30 35 degrees Celsius it will be, and then it will reach 75, and then it will go down again minus 35. So that one cycle you can apply, create, and then you apply that number of cycles, 100 cycles to the your board, and you can check whether what are the strain levels and what are the reliability of your components under these particular thermal cycles. So these are the life cycles conditions you can prepare here and which you can use for further subsequent analysis. So under the standard capabilities, you can do this solder fatigue analysis, which is based on the basically onto the strain energy. The failure is basically based upon the strain energy under the applied thermal or applied vibration loads. Then you can do the thermal mechanical analysis to get the strains at each and every location of your board. At the same time, we can do the in-circuit test analysis. This is a basic, simple structure analysis, which you have a multiple test points onto your board. You can apply certain forces or displacement onto that locations, and you can check the in-circuit test analysis. So another one, this non-FEA is depending on the plated through hole fatigue. This is a IPC with respect to IPC TR579. So basically, we do have certain plated holes through holes into the board, which are basically electrochemically plated with the conductive metals. Basically, the copper is the conductive material you are going to use, and this is used for electrically connection between the different layers. So we can do the fatigue analysis of this plated through holes, in which you can get the stress calculation first, and based upon the stress we can get the strain, and we can determine the lifetime based on the iteration of based on the strain which we have calculated under the thermal loadings. Then under the dynamic analysis, we do have the capability wise the natural frequency analysis, which is the most important and basic analysis in the linear dynamics, which will tells us about the natural frequency of the our board. Why natural frequency is important? Like, we do have our excitation frequency. If the natural frequency of the component is matches with your excitation frequency, you can see the resonance and the amplitude of vibration increases. We see failure. So before going to any other linear dynamic analysis, we must wanted to understand the what are the natural frequencies, and in which natural frequency, whether it is coming in my excitation frequency or not. And then we can do the harmonic analysis. Basically, it's a frequency sweep analysis where you can define certain frequency range, and with certain amplitude you can check the harmonic analysis along with certain this mill standard. So basically you can use that mill standard as a reference, and you can replicate that complete processor into the ANSYS Sherlock itself. Similarly, you can do for the shock analysis, under which you and Sherlock will do the transient analysis. It will perform the transient analysis. It will calculate the strain, and it will compare with the strain limit for that each component, and depending upon that it will give you the time to failure for that particular component. Similarly, and in the harmonic and random vibration, it will do the linear dynamic analysis, and it will give you the time to failure based upon the FEA strain, which is computed with respect to the harmonic or random vibration loads. Then apart from this, even you can do the conductive anodic filament failure, which is nothing but basically the migration of your copper filament within the PCB under I'll say under the applied bias. So sometimes what happen, this failure occurs conductive. So your anodic filament, that's copper failure, you will see. So with respect to IPC 650, you can do the conductive anodic filament with respect to the minimum hole and maximum hole which you wanted to check, and with respect to certain qualifications you can define that more in detail, and you can see that response. Also, ANSYS Sherlock has some certain capacitor wear out failure capability, which is currently for the ceramic and electrolytic capacitors, and you can do the DFME calculations depending upon the severity, occurrence, and detection numbers. And after doing all these things, Sherlock will give you the risk priority number for each and every component in board. Also, we can do the semiconductor wear out, IC wear out, with respect to the different mechanisms available for the IC wear out. So we can check that IC wear out mechanism. We can take that fit information from your developer for that particular IC, or even we can also consider the activation energy for each failure mechanism in the semiconductor wear out, and we can do it into the ANSYS to get the characteristics, life, and score for that particular ICs. Then thermal derating is again a simple analysis where maximum and minimum rated temperature we will check for. We can define the maximum and minimum rated temperature for that particular component, and we can check whether it is going to be within that applied thermal loading or not. Apart from these capabilities of the solution, we do have other advanced modeling capabilities, under which you can create a leads, wire bonds, coatings, or potting materials you can represent. You can detail the model stresses and vias, or even you can add the heat sinks. Along with this, you can not only just a single board, but if you want to do it with the multiple boards, we can do that. Also, we have certain, you can create the assembly under the Sherlock, and you can test multiple boards in the assembly as well. So after doing this kind of assembly, what outputs you will get, and that is the most important output which you are going to get is the life curve. And the ANSYS Sherlock is the only software that provides the complete life curve for each and every uh, failure mechanism. Say like I wanted to test, like even if you initially if you are define your service life as a 10-year and probability of failure 10%, so you can see a 10-year and probability of failure 10-year, a 10% you have defined as your reliability goal. Then what you can do, you can apply certain vibration analysis and you can check the vibration fatigue. So it is giving me as this location only, like after 6 years itself it is crossing the probability of failure 10%. So certain things we need to change here. So you will get this type of life of curve for all plated through thermal cycling, vibration, harmonic, random vibration or shock vibration, and at last you will get overall module for combined risk, which will combine for all the other events. Apart from this life curve, you can get the summary where you will get the scores of each and every component, whether it is falling and what kind of inputs you have. You can get that summary. Then you will get the tabular format of your all the components and the scores related to that, and with respect to time to failure. So the columns here, it will depend upon what kind of analysis you perform, but more or less you will see the strain, then time to failure, and the score for that particular component it listed in the tabular. Also we can see this is through histogram as well, and in the layout you actually can see the scores on the each component in the layout fashion as well. Along with this, you can see the strains in the layouts as well. What are the displacement strains on the board, you can check here. And then you, even if you want to check in the results in the 3D view, you can do that as well. So these are the process in ANSYS Sherlock, how we actually get the reliability in terms of by applying the vibration and thermal loadings to the component. Then I think we already discussed certain electronic simulations like power and signal integrity in Safal's presentation. So we can have a deep integration of Sherlock in our existing simulation workflow. Many of your electrical or electrical simulations you are performing, where you can get the joule heating, through which you will get the temperature fields. Then through ANSYS iSpec you can get the temperature actually results, and in mechanical you will see the stresses because of the temperature loading. But once you get the temperature stresses, you can use, or you can use the reliability analysis to get the lifetime prediction. So it is already it is we have a deep integration with the existing simulation workflow into the of the ANSYS Sherlock. So with that, I just wanted to give some case studies for like suppose this is the SOC, the system on the chip location. So we wanted to the location options where we wanted to place it is. So what load we want to sustain, we want to be sustain this board is like it should must survive a repeated mechanical shocks of 30 G for 50,000 times. Okay, and we have given the reliability goal of 10 years with 20% of probability. So we do have the options, like we can place this SOC here, option 1, 2 and 3. So if I choose one option 2 and I did the analysis, reliability analysis, I saw certain contours here, and with that I got the Sherlock predict the life for that option 2. Then it shows like at 3.5 years only the probability of failure is crossing 20%. So it is the worst case for me. So what I can do, I can do certain changes in early in my design process, where I can just move this SOC towards left. Here I can place it, and with that I can see the reliability curve, the life curve. So this also, it is not expecting my goal, which is below 10 years itself the probability is reaching 20%. Then what I can do, I can add multiple supports. I can add additional one support, because of which you can see the pattern of strain is got changed, and now the lifetime means like the lifetime at the 10 years we are getting very low probability of failure. Even if I use the underfill for that, then again I'm getting very low probability of failure at the 10 years of the life. So this kind of changes you can do in early in the design phases, and you can check whether it is going to be work whether that design is going to be work in field or not. Similarly, if I take another example where this is the shock analysis itself. So right now we have, this is the PCB board layout. We have mounted at the four corner locations, and we applied the 60G for 10 milliseconds for this. And then if I see the displacement pattern, you can see these are the displacement pattern, and this is strain pattern for this particular loading with four mount points. You can see the strain which is accumulated at these locations is very high, along with the where we are fixed mount location, there the strain is high. And you can see the felt component, these are the red, which are the felt components which we are observing under this particular load. What I can do, I can add additionally mount location. I can add one more mount location at the center of this. So you can see the my displacement pattern is completely changed. Now it is very less displacement which I am getting, and the strain pattern is also got changed. And now I cannot see, I'm not seeing anything which is going to be fail for this particular loading condition for this particular PCB. Then if want to add another case study, which is the laminate selection. Say suppose any, because of this COVID, we saw our procurement issues are there. So if you want to see any alternate laminate material or laminate selection, if you want to do, say you are using Nelcon N4029 laminate for your board, but now any situation you are not getting it and you want alternate laminate. So what you can do, you can check with other laminates. So what laminate options are available, like we have Isola 4110 IS 415 or 370 HR. So out of this, which is best suitable for me, so what I can do, I can do the certain analysis. So what are the selection criteria for me? So I wanted to do the plated through hole fatigue under minus 40 to 85 degrees Celsius temperature cycle. So after doing this analysis, what I got, this is the Nelco, which this is the original through which this thermal cycle, the plated through hole fatigue life, I got 3223. Okay, so then, but if I change to Isola 370 HR, I'm getting 11,908. It means like I got the 3.7x improvement in my baseline, considering my baseline design. So this kind of selections are very easy. You wanted to optimum selection of your laminate, you can do through the ANSYS Sherlock. So these are the some customer success stories I just wanted to give you. This is one of the this is the American auto manufacturer who believed the Sherlock could eliminate the retest or reducing the value of engineering time, test cost, and time to market. So basically they actually eliminated the power thermal cycling test. In four power thermal test was eliminated, and which saved them 1.4 million of the cost. Similarly, global storage manufacturer, they also eliminate two physical tests for each PCBA. So they actually designed 10 PCBA, and they actually eliminated two physical tests for each PCBA, which save their cost of 0.75 millions. And apart, not only just cost, but they time to market, which also reduced by 6 months, means their product development time reduced by 6 months. So these are the some of the customer case studies who are using the ANSYS Sherlock as a solution for the reliability analysis. So I just wanted to summarize it, like we do have a tool which is a faster to build the electronic hardware for your FE analysis from 2 weeks to 45 minutes. You can avoid the redesign, retest due to failure during the constant temperature thermal cycle or power cycling mechanical shock. It also has the easy integration with ANSYS mechanical to do certain high fidelity analysis. You can eliminate the defects, communicate the quality reliability through the electronic supply chain. You can reduce the warranty cost, and you can increase the first pass yield during the manufacturing, and accelerate the introduction of new technology and the design changes. So whatever be the new changes you wanted to do, you can check that very easily, and you can introduce into your product. So these are I think I have completed my presentation. If you have any questions, we can take the questions.
Yes, Aslam. I guess we can take these questions, or would you want Jocelyn to complete the presentation and then we can take the.
Yeah, I think that is good. Actually, we can complete then, and I can answer if required in a chat window to that particular questions. Okay.
Yes, even
Meanwhile,
Safal was answering the questions in the chat box too.
oh, okay. So that will create. I think
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah,
Jocelyn
yeah.
can
Thank you
present
so
then.
much, Safal and Aslam, for sharing such a brief overview on how ANSYS simulations play a key role in doing the reliability analysis of the electronic components. Maybe like now we also have Jocelyn Mendoza from PCI Private Limited, Singapore, as a guest speaker who would now be sharing us how ANSYS simulations had helped them in doing the reliability analysis of their components. Now over to you, Jocelyn Mendoza.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone.
Yeah, good afternoon.
I thank you for joining us this afternoon. When I was invited by CADFEM to join this webinar, I actually have a lot of reservations, mainly because um, I we have recently engaged a CADFEM for a project. And of course, for this particular project, I will not be able to show what we did. Okay, maybe what I can do as a guest resource person is to share our experience. Okay, I will just share a slide with you. Okay, okay, let me, how do I share? Okay, share. Can you see my slides now?
Yes, it is loading,
Okay,
Mendoza. Yes, now we
o-
can see your screen pretty clear.
okay, thank you. So, uh, I'm our company, PCI Private Limited, is an OEM, or to be more specific, we serve OEMs. We are an electronic manufacturing services company, and an electronic manufacturing services company, we design and manufacture for our clients. Most of them are very big clients, and a lot of times we have to perform design verification testing, qualification testing, which is also the reliability testing. And usually these activities take a lot of time. Okay. You design, you produce the samples, you negotiate with your program how many samples will be available, because as a quality person, we know that you are supposed to use significant numbers of samples. Otherwise, the whole thing doesn't mean anything. Okay, so you have to have enough samples to be able to demonstrate that the testing is reliable. So you have to negotiate with your program how many samples you need to have, and then you perform the test. Okay, you probably you do it in house, you do it in an external laboratory, and then from there you will maybe it's good if you can detect some faults, because that's the objective of this entire objective of performing a reliability testing, to detect a fault as early in the design process as possible. Because if you detect a failure at a much later time, the cost to rectify this failure will be a lot more for the entire project. So, and that's where I think the use of um, having a software, application like CADFEM can be useful. Okay. In our case, the reason why we engage them is we have this very long test that we need to conduct. It's supposed to it's a test that's supposed to last for 61 days, and but we don't have that much time between the initial build and then the second build. So how do we do it then? So the next best thing is to perform a simulation. Okay, so I want to emphasize that the CAD/CAM software is a very powerful software. I believe it is a powerful software. But nevertheless, the engineer or whoever in your company is going to use it is also cannot be will also need to have specific skills. Okay, and it is not a single person activity. If you have a reliability engineer in your team, you definitely needs the support of your electronics engineer, your mechanical engineers, your test engineers, because they will provide you the ODB files, the component data sheets, the bill of material, and most importantly, the material properties of those components. Okay, because these are the inputs to the software. Your simulation is only as good as your input. Okay, so um, whether you benefit from the simulation or not, it all depends on how fast you can do your simulation. Because if your time from the first build to the second build, say you have two weeks or at most 1 month, then you have to complete your simulation before that. Otherwise, you lose the benefit from the simulation. Okay, so I'm not able. Well, we did a for CAD/CAM, we did a mechanical simulations, vibration and shock test. Okay, and I will not be able to show you the exact output of that because it's of confidentiality. But anyway, these are the other options that can be done using the simulation software. I have to emphasize that it is a teamwork because a lot of input is coming from different departments. Okay, thank you. I don't have any other things to share. Is there anything that you want to? Maybe we can pose a question that I can answer.
Yes, Jocelyn.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing your the
Yeah.
overview how ANSYS and CAD/CAM has engaged with you for doing the reliability analysis of your components, and it's great to see that your testing time has been reduced to a greater extent. Yes. So maybe now, if anyone has any questions, I guess we have many questions coming up in the chat box. Maybe Safar or Aslam, would you like to unmute yourself and then would like to answer them, or how do you want to take it up?
Yes. Okay. So basically, we got one question related to the accuracy stuff and the or verification. So basically, we have verified also few cases with respect to the physical testing. If I speak in terms of reliability analysis for shock and vibrations, in this terminology, we actually use the modified Steinberg equation based on the strain. So we calculate the strain based upon the actual physical FEA based strain. Then we will compare it with respect to the components strain limit. So that strain limit again depends upon other many other factors, like I'll say board length, component constant, what are the position there, component length, then what are the board natural frequency. So like that equation we will use, and based upon that the components strain is calculated, and which is again compared with the FES strain, and the live calculation is carried out for that. So are we considering EF? Can you elaborate? So you're Mr. Dr. Mandy, you're asking about the reliability analysis or for the electronics, that SIV or that. I think what you can do, Prashant, you can just
Yeah.
unmute Dr. Mehendi, so that will be a great if
Yes, Safar. Yes,
we.
Aslam. I actually have given the rights to everyone to unmute themselves, and then they could
Okay,
directly
so
ask your
Dr. Mehendi,
question.
you can unmute and just can you just elaborate your question so that we can answer in better way?
Hello, everybody. I'm Dr. Mahdi. I'm not sure anybody can hear me or not, but my main question in here is mostly on the reliability of the data and also based on the equation that just now you mentioned. How many parameters we are taking note of it? And if you think about electrical field around us, and also we have a lots of noises in our air and around of us. So how we are going to consider all of those external factors, and maybe more than that, that can be happen. For example, if I want to make a satellite, if I want to consider about the harsh condition, how I supposed to simulate all those conditions based on this software and come up with the ideal system that I can send it to the space, or I can send it to the down to the ocean. So what is the solution for these matters?
Okay, okay, understood. Like others, like electrical fields and other things. One is like through electrical fields, whatever the Joule heating, that temperature is coming because of the DCIR drop, that you can actually calculate and you can map onto the board initially, and then you can add other things like other thermal cycling to do that kind of analysis. For I'm actually not clear about the noise effect. Basically here we treat as whatever be the excitation coming in terms of the shock and vibration we are applying. I'm not sure about right now about the noise effects, how whether it is considered or not, but as my knowledge it is not considered. Or what I will do, I will check once again, and how many parameters it is going to be conveyed, and I can reply you on over a mail.
Thank you for the answer. Thank you.
Yeah.
Hi Aslam, I have one question. Okay, so let me address that.
Okay.
So Mr. Gokulan is asking, it is compatible with other ECAT. See, I mean, it is compatible with almost all the ECAT softwares. Okay, so you can import ODB++, IPC, GSD, .BRD file. Okay, so IPC 2581. So all those files you can import it. But as I told, it is a ECAT format, not schematic, because schematic is something that you have to build it, right? So once you import your PCB, then you can extract the parasitics of a PCB, and then you can do the EMCO simulation. You can build the schematic and all, but you can't import the schematic. You can only import the ECAT files from Altium, from any other tool. There is no restriction. Okay.
Oh, hi, Aslam. Can I just
Yes,
ask a
please.
clarification question? The simulation, can we do for example, thermal and vibration concurrently?
Or concurrently means how you wanted to do, means like
That
one
means,
by
yeah,
one.
because no, together.